PNR Networks is a member of Patreon. Show your love for our shows by joining our ongoing fundraising campaign and get some fantastic perks in return. Check it out and become a Patreon sponsor. You can sign up at patreon.com, patreon.com/PNR Networks. And thanks for your support.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Well, I think it's finally summer.
Gee, what
Drive-in's here. Drive-in summer's here. Now the heat's here.
Gee, what gave that away?
Well, it's not that bad when
Yeah,
we're inside.
Yeah.
We're outside, we'd be baking right now.
Yeah.
And speaking of baking, hey, we're going to bake a great show for you this week. We kind of threw everything out that we had planned after yesterday and are going to devote this show to the shows and the movies and hopefully drive-in fare of a certain Caped Crusader from the 1960s. Plus, we have a lot more to go and some drive-in salutes and a lot more. All right, here! Right now, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
Stick around. We're going to have fun as we head out onto the road
For Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer.
Good evening, folks, and a hearty welcome to our drive-in theater.
Subject Cinema. Drive-in summer. T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema. Drive-in summer.
Well, with summer and drive-ins, I keep forgetting, also brings heat.
Yes.
Ugh.
Yes, that's the bad thing about summer in New England, because
It's heat, then it's
heat.
cold, then it's hot, then it's cold, then it's in between, then it's cold, then it's hot.
and then
And that's just yesterday.
yeah. Summertime is also when you remember that the Massachusetts state bird is the mosquito.
Welcome to Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
Subject Cinema number 571, day and date, June 11th, 2017. We're going to use this show, in part, to say goodbye to a very talented actor we lost yesterday, the unbelievably fantastic and inimitable Adam West,
Yeah.
who passed away due to a short battle with leukemia at age 88.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to bring you some stuff that he was in as part of our drive-in fare, and also a review from a documentary that aired a couple years ago that you guys can look at.
Yep.
Plus a few more things as well. How was your week?
Exhausting. Just one of those crazy weeks where you just going, is it Friday yet? Is it Friday yet? Is it Friday yet?
And then the weekend lasts only a short time.
And then when it's Friday, you're like, is it 5 o'clock yet? Is it 5 o'clock yet? Is it 5 o'clock yet? Ah! I can't take it anymore.
Yeah, okay.
But here we are. And it's the weekend. I'm sorry, I had to take a drink.
Nice pause.
Sorry. How's your week?
Oh, stupendous. I've been busy and hard at work on
Yes.
this show and a number of other things, and communications and connections, and also regular work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been fun. Our drive-in summer, all summer long, we're going to be doing these great shows dedicated to drive-ins. We do have another drive-in salute coming up later in the show. If you're a drive-in or know of a drive-in and would like to have it included in the Subject Cinema's Drive-In Salute series, which takes place on this show and also on the eCinemaOne website, you can drop me a line, and I'll send you the link to the questionnaire that the drive-ins are filling out to let us know what they need to know and what we want to pass on to you. And you can write to me at subjectcinema@PNRNetworks.com.
Mm-hmm.
And while you're at it, please take the time to drop us a couple of bucks on our Patreon page. We are in some serious problems right now because we're really we've had some recent increases in bills, and it's cutting into what we can do for Subject Cinema. So we really, really, really need you to take the time. Every listener needs to take the time to join the Patreon campaign. At $2 a month, it's not going to break you, and it'll be a big help to us. You can go higher if you like, but $2 a month is definitely something where it's all for you to make it more entertaining and enjoyable, and we hope that you will do that for us. After all these years of hard work, we hope that we at least have earned your respect that way. And you can do all that and check out the whole campaign at patreon.com/PNRNetworks. And please remember, it covers not just this show, but all of our shows and all of our websites. Mm-hmm. $2 a month is not much. Please, everybody, don't say, oh, somebody else will do it. $2 a month is all you're asking, and you get all these hours of great entertainment. So please, help us out.
Yep.
And now, let's move on to this week's main screen. We're going to have a flashback to the summer of 1966. I was 3, and you were -2. But there was still one great big TV movie on the screen. Holy drive-ins! It's Batman!
Coming up next.
The main screen.
Quick! Everyone! Flee for your lives!
Emergency. Batman speaking. Warning all of you to brace yourselves for big news.
The biggest.
Tell them, Robin.
Holy superlatives, Batman! It's really exciting. Soon, very soon, Batman and I will be catapulting right out of your TV sets and onto your theater screens.
That's right, Robin. Our first full-length motion picture feature in color opens a whole new world of thrills.
1966 brought us the Cold War. It brought us the monkeys. And it brought us a superhero in a comedy television series. And later that summer, it brought us a film of that superhero in the comedy television series. And now we're going to head to drive-ins and theaters with it, because it was in all of them. In 1966, the summer of 1966, the Caped Crusaders came to the big screen. Adam West, Burt Ward, and a cast of rogues in Batman the movie. Can you give us the rundown, please?
Yes. Batman, which was also referred to as Batman the movie, is the story of the Caped Crusaders, the protectors of Gotham City, Batman and Robin, a.k.a. Bruce Wayne and his young ward, Dick Grayson, who are...
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Oh, stop. Worst kept secret since Hitler invaded Poland.
Oh, that was mean. Anyway.
Well, actually, it really was a good kept secret from the people of Gotham City, because they didn't know, but we, the audience, did.
Oh, that. I thought you meant the other thing. The thing that Aunt Harriet's there for.
Stop it. We're not going there.
Too late, already did. Want a t-shirt? T-shirts are good for drive-ins.
Section brought to you by the Narrow-Minded Society for people who read crap into stuff. Oh, people read crap into that stuff that wasn't there. Anyway,
I know. Anyway.
Batman and Robin are given a tip that a certain Commodore Schmidlap is in danger of being kidnapped. And they launch a rescue mission, and unfortunately, during said rescue mission, Batman is attacked by a robotic shark, which he manages to get off of his leg with a bat shark repellent. Never mind the fact that said bat shark repellent, while it might work, probably not as well as a punch to the eye, would have probably taken the Dark Knight's leg with it when it falls off, but
He's not the Dark Knight.
But I digress.
That doesn't happen for another 20-some years.
Mm-hmm. The kidnapping attempt foiled. Batman and Robin head back to Gotham City and to the office of Commissioner Gordon, and they have a meeting with Commissioner Gordon and Chief O'Hara, finding out that the tip was set up by a group calling itself the United Underworld, which turns out to be a cabal of the worst villains Gotham City has to offer. The Joker, the Penguin, the Riddler, and that felonious feline femme fatale, the Catwoman. You like that? I came up with that all by myself.
It sounds like something Bruce would have used to describe her.
I know, and I actually got it out in one breath and didn't choke myself, so I'm really amazed. Yay me.
Yay!
This evil group of villains have found out that Commodore Schmidlap has invented a machine that is what is called a dehydrator. Now, what does that do? I'm so glad you asked. It turns out that when pointed at someone, this device sucks all the fluid out of a person. I'm assuming that means everything: blood, mucus, eye stuff, everything.
Ew! Disgusting. And
reduces the person to a pile of dust. Theological arguments notwithstanding, we go forward. The Commodore, who actually winds up getting kidnapped and isn't aware he's been kidnapped, because Commodore Schmidlap is not the brightest bulb. He's not the brightest bulb on the tree. They've decided that they're going to use this device to storm the it's not the actual United Nations, because they can't actually use that. The Security Council, the World Security Council, because apparently the United Nations is trademarked or something.
Well,
I don't know.
The Security Council is part of the United Nations. You just can't. United Nations get very testy when you use their name.
Yeah, they get.
And at this point in time, they were getting kind of annoyed by all the people stopping by asking to see Uncle headquarters. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, they get pissy about that stuff. So anyway, the evil scheme is to, dehydrate all of the members of the world, the world councils and stuff, and hold them for ransom. And it's up to Batman and Robin to foil this nefarious plan and save the day. But on the other side of things, Batman does have a life outside of his cape and cowl, and he is romancing a Soviet journalist who goes by the name of Miss Kitka. But unbeknownst to Bruce, Miss Kitka is actually Catwoman without her mask, even though they totally sound the same. That's not entirely fair. Lee Merriweather does a nice Russian accent. And it goes on from there, and there's a lot of biffing and powing and socking, and the occasional kiss between Batman and Miss Kitka. No really intense love scenes here. We're camp. And it culminates in an enormous fight at the end of the film between the good guys and the bad guys. And who's going to save the day? Do you really have to ask? Seriously? Why don't you give
Seriously? You really have to ask? I don't know. Find out. Same bat time, same bat channel. Oh, no, it was a movie. We got the end of it at the same time.
We got the end of it at the same time.
Yeah. Adam West is Batman, Bruce Wayne. Burt Ward is Robin, Dick Grayson. Lee Merriweather as the Catwoman, stepping in for Julie Newmar, who was committed to a film at the time. Cesar Romero as the Joker. Burgess Meredith as Penguin. Frank Gorshin as the Riddler, all reprising their roles from the TV series. Mm-hmm. Alan Napier is Alfred Pennyworth, the Butler. Neil Hamilton as Commissioner Gordon. Stafford Repp as Chief Miles O'Hara. Madge Blake as Aunt Harriet. And guest stars Reginald Denny as Commodore Schmidlap. What a name.
It's going to get worse in a second.
I know. Milton Frome as Vice Admiral Fangschleister.
Which sounds like a drink.
Yeah, it does. Gil Perkins as Bluebeard. Bluebeard is in this? Isn't he long dead by this point?
It's a bad guy. It's a hench weasel name.
Dick Crockett as Morgan. George Sawaya as Quetch. And Van Williams doing the uncredited voice of President Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yeah. In a scene where he's shot from the back petting a beagle.
Yeah.
And which audiences today probably won't get.
Well, they would if they were alive back then. Because he had beagles. He liked to pick them up by their ears.
Yeah, him and her, I think, were their names, right?
That's right. Yeah. Dumb names for dogs in the White House.
Can't remember anything about the presidents, but I can remember the dogs' names. Because that's just the way my head works. Ta-da!
So, this was the television take on the Caped Crusaders.
Yes. This actually came out in theaters 2 months after the airing of the last episode of the first season. So they really took the phrase "strike while the iron is hot" and ran with it.
Yes, they did.
This was when Batmania really was going completely bat guano insane, in America and all around the world. Mm-hmm. I remember seeing this when I was a very little girl on TV. I remember, it's funny now because I didn't realize that was a trailer. They actually ran the trailer as the commercial for the movie on one of our local stations, and I actually saw it a few years ago. I was like, oh my gosh, that was the actual trailer. That's too funny.
Now, we've seen this movie show up on Subject Cinema a number of times in the past as a guilty pleasure.
Yes.
And we've also talked about it for, other reasons. But this is the first time we've really had a chance to analyze exactly what makes Batman, the TV series, so timeless. And the movie. Why, other than the performances of Adam West and Burt Ward and the rest of them, this was an unheard of take on the character.
Right. A lot of people are under the misapprehension that this was the first time that Batman actually made it to the big screen. And that is not so.
No, they had a serial or two in 1940s that were...
There were serials done in the 40s.
They're not good to watch now. They're very racist.
They are incredibly not PC. The argument that people would use at the time was there was a war on, but it's incredibly racist.
To hear Batman refer to the Japanese as Japs is a little disconcerting.
Unsettling. It's extremely unsettling. But this was the first big screen, full-length, in-color time Batman made it to the big screen.
Ooh!
And, when you look back at the outfit from the serial, you're like, well, at least that's an improvement, because the outfit in the serial looks pretty goofy. Sorry, there it is. I love this movie. This movie is always going to have an incredibly special place in my heart. It's, as we were talking about before we started the show, we grew up with this Batman. This was my first Batman. Adam West Batman was my first Batman. And you never forget
your first, do you?
No, you don't. You never, ever forget your first. And you can take that however you want.
Family show.
I didn't... If they interpret it another way, that's not my fault. If your kids get the jokes, it's not our fault. Thank you, King Richard's Fair. But we were talking about how this interpretation of Batman... For younger kids who saw this, who had grown up with, reading Frank Miller's Dark Knight Rises or even watching Batman the Animated Series, if they went back and saw this, they'd be like, what the hell is this crap? It's...
Interestingly, Adam West, who we're feting this weekend after his passing, has always said that he felt that the later versions of Batman were too humorless for the character. He felt that they didn't inject enough humor into them, and they had some, especially the Michael Keaton Batman had more humor than any of the other ones to come after that. And it was by the time they got to Christian Bale, in just a span of 89 to so almost 30 years, we've had Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Christian Bale, and Ben Affleck all doing takes as character, plus Kevin Conroy on the animated series. So
and other people doing voices for smaller
for the DC and for the DC releases. Didn't Bruce Greenwood did him in one of those?
Yeah, Bruce Greenwood.
So you have all these different
several other people,
and they're all played so darkly, And even in Batman with Keaton and Kim Basinger and Jack Nicholson, he had a slight sense of humor that was more there than it was in any of the later films, and especially when you get to the Christopher Nolan stuff and the current DC Universe stuff. So this was a completely different show, a completely different take.
They very, 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 and I mean very, tack about 10 more verys on there, rarely touched on Batman's origin in the 60s series. I think they might have mentioned it. I think they did mention it in this film in passing, And they mentioned it on the show at least once. I can remember him bringing up that his parents were killed by criminals. Mm-hmm. They didn't go into a big production number about it, but they did bring it up. Mm-hmm. Because this was supposed to be camp. Now, for some people, I realize some people bringing up this incarnation of Batman, that you're going to have some people that are going to roll their eyes and be like, ugh, and that kind of a thing. And that's fine. If you want to just like the dark, serious, driven Batman stuff, that's fine. Which you and I both also talked before we started the show. You were saying, well, he always had a sense of humor in the comics and blah, blah, blah. And I was saying, I don't agree with that. When the character was first brought to life in Detective Comics way back in the day,
he was kind of a flip, self-involved playboy.
That was the persona that he put out there.
Right. That was the Bruce Wayne persona.
Right. But the character of Batman didn't crack jokes or anything like that. He was very serious. He even carried a gun in the early stuff. As the series went on, they did inject more humor and more humanity into the character. And whether or not you feel that was for good or ill or for the erosion of the character, that's entirely each person's interpretation. My interpretation of Adam West's Bruce Wayne and Batman is that this is someone that does believe that people, at their heart, most people are good. I mean, even in the film, he, especially more with Julie Newmar, with Julie Newmar and Lee Merriweather's Catwoman in this film, and Julie Newmar and Eartha Kitt on the series, he was always he didn't want to arrest them. And sexual tension notwithstanding, it was also because I think he really believed in his heart that they could be rehabilitated. Now, whether he really thought that about other characters, other bad guy characters or not, they really didn't go into. But I think that his character believed that they could be rehabilitated at some point. He didn't feel like they were completely irredeemable. I mean, what do you think?
It depends how much one you're talking about.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Catwoman could be rehabilitated.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure about the rest of them.
Well, like I said, there's the romantic undertones and all of the complicated, relationship things that are happening there between
tangled web we weave.
Yeah, there's that whole thing with Batman and Catwoman. I mean, Freud could have a field day. But
well, not nearly as bad here as it was in Batman Returns.
Oh, we're not going to touch that.
Which really got nuts with Keaton
we're not going to touch that.
Piper.
Nope. There's one part of this film that I always found really interesting, and it's actually very telling and very even reflects on today's politics, is the scene where the villains break into the United World headquarters, United Nations.
United World Organization.
Yeah, right, whatever. Anyway. And they
UOO.
And the four villains break into the building, they break into the council chamber where all of the delegates are discussing things. Dr. Evil quotes on discussing. Because basically it's a room with a big long table and you've got all these men, only men, thank you, from different...
Well, women's lib hadn't taken off yet.
I realize that, but still it's one of these scenes where I'm sitting there going... sorry, can't help it. Where you've got this room full of men in national costumes of their countries, and everybody is talking at the same time, and everybody is talking at full volume, and nobody is hearing anything anybody else is saying.
Oh, so it was actually a globe, a crystal ball into the future.
Yeah. So nothing's getting accomplished. I'm like, what does this remind me of? Oh yeah, now. It's so ridiculous when you think about...
Thank you for stepping all over my joke. Anyway.
Sorry. But it's so ridiculous when you think about the fact that 4 super criminals just busted in your room, in your big super duper secret meeting, and everybody's too busy, shooting off their own mouths to even acknowledge the fact that there's some dangerous bad guys that just broke in the room. And even when people start getting, deatomized, dehydrated, however you want to word it, and they get turned into these little piles of crystal, looks like little sugar crystal piles. Like the stuff you sprinkle on.
Probably what it was.
Yeah, like the stuff you sprinkle on cookies. They're still arguing. And there's nobody's even being like, oh my gosh, what's happening? At the end of the film, there's this big problem and kerfluffle where all of the dust all gets mixed up together. Batman and Robin do their best to mix up all the dust.
Now, these are little tiny grains of sand from 14 people.
Yeah.
Or 18 people.
Whatever.
How many are on the council?
Yeah, whatever. And
they have this little device they pour it into it. It, like, sorts it out into the grains by color. Really?
Well,
The bat sorter separator.
Science.
So
they bring them back and they rehydrate the people, and they go back right to arguing again. But now they're all arguing, and they're all different. Like, the guy from France is speaking like the guy from England, and the guy from Israel is speaking like the guy from Russia.
Didn't put the personalities back right.
Yeah, and the whole thing. And I like the fact that Robin actually brings up the fact that it might actually be a good idea. That, these people being able to see things from somebody else's point of view might actually work stuff out. I'm like, that's actually really kind of hopeful and sweet and actually kind of deep, really.
For a campy comedy.
Well, you got to slip in a little bit of deep everywhere. You slip it in where you can. Some of the wisest things that have ever...
Good night, everybody!
Some of the wisest things that have ever been said have come out of the mouths of fools. It's just.
Well, I know that. I hear that all the time. People we work with.
I'm going to say, why did I get the distinct feeling I've just been zinged?
I'm just kidding anyway. I really am.
There seems to be different versions of why Julie Newmar is not in this film as Catwoman.
She was supposedly in a film, then she supposedly hurt her back. I don't think they wanted to pay her for a film.
Considering that Adam West asked for more money, and the producers told him they could just hire somebody else to be Batman. I'm like, wow.
That's the way Hollywood studios get uppity every now and then they have to be thrown around by Robert Downey Jr. and things come back normal. I mean, considering that they only gave Mickey Rourke like $250,000 for Iron Man 3, Iron Man 2, whichever one that was that he was in, even though the Avengers made, or the Avengers movies up to that point, the Avengers hadn't come out yet, had earned billions of dollars, and they were offering minuscule little $250,000.
Yeah.
To Mickey Rourke, who was a accomplished actor who deserved better than that.
Totally.
Especially after The Wrestler put him back into the Oscar mix.
Yeah. Now, we have actually talked in other places about the fact that you and I have both complained about the fact that superhero movies, for some reason that neither of us really can quite get, tend to do this, they tend to fall into this whole trope of doing the whole supervillain team-up thing.
Well, for this one, it worked because that's the way that these were all known. It doesn't work in the big films because a lot of times these are the first time, especially, say, Batman and Robin, which many people wrongly consider the worst Batman film. Batman Forever is actually the worst film.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is. And they have the terrible teaming in this film of Poison Ivy and Mr. Freeze. Mm-hmm. With terribly overcamped performances, and Bane is in this thing too.
Yeah,
in a supporting role.
The way they used Bane in that movie is a sin.
It's the way they used Bane in the cartoon too. I mean, he had the same thing with the whole instant drug thing, and he wasn't a muscle-bound nobody.
No, my whole point is they made him like a henchman. I'm like,
right.
What?
Well, in any case, the characterizations weren't there ahead of time. With this film, they were. They'd all appeared in the TV series, and people knew that Cesar Romero's Joker was this gleefully funny criminal who refused to shave his mustache off for his makeup. And Frank Gorshin.
I never noticed that when I was
Frank
a kid.
Gorshin was, this marvelous Riddler, and Burgess Meredith always had his little his little umbrella and his cigarette holder going, wah, 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 more than once in the first season.
Yeah.
I mean, when they brought all three of those characters to the big screen, only the Joker worked, as far as I'm concerned. Didn't like Jim Carrey's Riddler, did not like Danny DeVito's Penguin, so it's...
No, but do you think they worked well in this film together?
Yes.
See, I actually do think they worked well in this film together because they don't mesh.
Yeah.
I think they work well in this film together because they're not all
They're
working
constantly fighting with each other.
Yes, because they're not working as a cohesive unit. They're working together.
It isn't the Legion of Doom.
No, they're working together, but there's always the chance that somebody should...
reference.
There's always the chance that somebody's going to say the wrong thing and the whole thing's going to fly apart for a minute. But then they all are like, okay, well, we have a common goal. Let's work together
Although
again.
it was mostly, if you notice, it was mostly Joker versus Riddler.
Well, yeah,
Penguin
because-
was kind of the in-between guy that was trying to keep them two from killing each other.
Well, the problem with that is the fact that those interpretations, I feel, of the Riddler and the Joker both want to be the smartest guy in the room.
Yes, I agree.
And the Penguin's whole thing is, will you idiots calm down and knock it off so we can get stuff done? You know, that
the real brains of the operation can do things.
Pretty much. Yeah, totally. This is just, it's campy, it's fun,
Adam
it's
obviously
silly.
had a blast with this film. And he and Burt Ward had great chemistry that has lasted now 50-plus years. Continued on throughout various TV movies. I mean, they got back together in the late 90s or 2000s for a TV movie playing themselves, trying to find the Batmobile, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Based on Adam's hilarious Bat to the Batcave. If you've never read it, it's a great book. And it's that was fun. And now, of course, they've reteamed in the last year for 2 animated specials that are based on the TV series.
Yeah.
They did one last year that was a riot.
Return of the Cape Crusaders.
And they have another one coming up that hasn't come out yet that they finished work on called Batman vs. Two-Face.
As of right now, the title is Batman vs. Two-Face. I don't know if that's going to be changing or what.
I don't know either, but it shouldn't be long before it comes out now, because the first one we saw at the theater, it was at Fathom Events thing, and it's definitely was worth the money to see it on the big screen, because it was so funny and so
the crowd,
wonderfully like the old series.
Was so into it.
Oh, the crowd loved it, every second of it.
Yeah.
So you know that this Batman definitely still works 50 years later. You can see this Batman, the movie, on any drive-in screen or any theater screen or on your home TV or video screen and sit there and enjoy it for what it is. A campy, funny, well-written, and well-acted spoof of superhero shows, which is basically what it was, and every bit fun.
Do you have a favorite scene?
We've used the favorite scene as one of our bumpers for years.
It's mine too.
Sometimes you just can't get rid of a bomb.
That is the funniest.
Some days
you just can't get rid of a bomb. It is just, and the exact.
And that scene is hysterical because he keeps running into the same 4 people. It's like, oh my god, really?
Well, the thing is,
and the ducks.
Yeah, and the ducks. He's trying. Batman's trying to throw a literal bomb that is the size of, probably about the height-wise of this table. You know, maybe a little smaller. Well, he's holding it over his head.
Yeah, he is. It's one of those big round things marked. Is it actually
no,
marked?
It doesn't
say bomb.
It doesn't say bomb on it because we're going for subtlety here.
Right.
And,
but it's got the fuse and everything in it.
And he's trying to find somewhere to get rid of it, and everywhere he tries to find, there's something there. There's people, there's a Salvation Army band, there's a mother with baby ducks, and it's just... by the end of this scene, your sides are sore. You're laughing so hard. And
Adam would be very happy that he brought so much happiness with that to
I definitely
everybody.
think so. I definitely do.
If you've never seen Batman, it's available for rental practically anywhere. And it's the kind of movie you might want to nudge your local theater to run in like a matinee slot or somewhere, because it probably isn't that hard to get a hold of and to see it on the big screen. Maybe we should call Ned.
Maybe.
That would be fun.
Or the Coolidge for their kids show.
And see if we could get it to show on the big screen up here. Because I've never seen it on the big screen.
I never have
came
either.
close once. A friend and I, when I was 3rd or 4th grade, there was a tiny little theater in the town next over from us. And they were just renovating it. And they were opening every weekend for kiddie matinees. And we went thinking Batman was going to be there, but we'd missed it. It was the previous week. They had dated it wrong. We ended up seeing The Ghost and Mr. Chicken instead. Yeah, hate that movie. I always have hated that movie. But Batman I would have loved to see, and it would have been a lot of fun. Johnstown, Ohio, if you remember that theater, it was right downtown. Let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys. That's Subject Cinema at PNRNetworks.com.
I wonder if it's still there.
No, it's not. But, I mean, the building's probably still there, but the theater is long gone, and it was, just probably just businesses now. But it was a fun memory. If you've got any memories of drive-ins and Batman or just Batman in general, please let us know. We'd love to hear them and share our love and your love for Adam West with our listeners. Subject Cinema at PNRNetworks.com.
Subject Cinema.
Drive this summer. Want to know what new films are coming out this weekend? Hi, I'm TC Kirkham of Subject Cinema, inviting you to check out 3 Minute Weekend, our weekly roundup of all the new films hitting U.S. theaters each weekend. We've got the 411 on all the new blockbusters, indies, and video-on-demand choices for you each week. 3 Minute Weekend, every Friday morning from Subject Cinema and eCinemaOne.com, a PNR Networks podcast powered by Libsyn. Subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast service. Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer is co-presented by Going Attractions, the definitive story of the American drive-in, from director April Wright. You can check it out right now on Amazon Prime or order the DVD at goingattractions.com.
Going Attractions, the definitive story of the American drive-in movie. A new documentary available now on DVD. The collector's edition is loaded with special features. You can get Going Attractions in your snack bar now.
Don't forget to subscribe to Subject Cinema on iTunes. Click on the iTunes link on our sidebar or search for Subject Cinema on iTunes. Once you're there, click subscribe. It's that easy. And don't forget to leave us a comment on our iTunes page and tell everyone what you think of Subject Cinema too.
Subject Cinema.
Drive this summer.
Deja vu. What is it, and why does it occur?
Just had that little feeling. You ever get that funny little, that kind of feeling, that vuja day? You know, not deja vu. This is vuja day. This is the strange feeling that somehow none of this has ever happened before.
Deja Vu Review.
Adam West is the Batman, the definitive Batman. You know, he is a permanent icon here in Baltimore.
He was my first childhood love.
He is a legend.
He was an unknown in the 50s, 60s. He was #1. Cover of Life magazine, TV Guide.
I really enjoyed being Batman because people responded. They were embracing of it. It's not only about making a living, supporting one's family, but can I be brilliant in what I do?
Adam became a huge star on television at a time where the stereotyping curse was in full force.
The exhibitors voted me.
Growing up in Walla Walla, Washington, I'm sure he wasn't sure ever that he would become a household name by the time he reached his mid-30s. But he did. And even today, 50 years later, almost 50 years later, he is still recognized and loved by everybody that ever watched him in the role as television's original Batman. There is now a new documentary focusing on his life, his times, and his general personality, which is still 100% the same as it was when he was on TV every week in the Caped Crusader's cowl. Give us the rundown on Starring Adam West.
Starring Adam West is the story of Adam West, a young, from his time as a young man in Walla Walla, Washington, to where he had made a decision that he was going to go and become an actor, to his decision to go to Hollywood and become an actor, where he was a working actor and, was doing pretty all right for himself. And then came the role that would change his life. He was offered the part of Bruce Wayne, Batman, in the 1960 version of Batman, which is really amazing. You know, for those of us who are Batman devotees, there are people that are of two camps of this. There are people who love it, and there are people who never speak of it. You know,
the Batman 1960 series, currently running Saturday nights at 8 and 8:30 on MeTV, is...
I think it's on at 7, actually.
It is on at 7. I'm sorry, Wonder Woman's on 8. It is on at 7. It's 7 and 7:30 on MeTV, and finally coming to DVD later this year. It is a definite slice of 1960s America.
Yep.
You can't get away. I grew up watching it when I was a wee tot. I was 3 when it premiered.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, I think that
I was 2. I wasn't quite.
I might have actually seen Batman in reruns and stuff before I saw Batman on the Super Friends, which I always thought was my first introduction to Batman. But now that I think about it, I don't think it was. I think my first introduction was Adam West's Batman.
And you have always had a soft spot for it. You named the Batman film that came out between the first and second seasons as one of your guilty pleasures.
Yes, I did.
And it is a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. It's campy as hell.
We have a number of the sound clips we've used over the years.
It's a lot of fun. The interesting thing about one of the interesting things about this film, besides Adam, who is very interesting, very funny, and more than a little bit loopy, which means he'd fit in perfectly with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is the fact that fame is obviously very much a two-edged sword. You know, he became famous for playing Batman, but when the studios decided that the show cost too much money to make, it was canceled at a time when its ratings were still actually quite good.
They weren't. It wasn't like it fell like a stone. It was still in the top 30, I think, when it got canceled. And it was. The glitz and glamour of the premiere had worn off. The novelty had worn off.
But it was
still a very popular show.
Yeah, it definitely had its fans, and they were very passionate.
In that third season, it was cut to once a week also, not twice a week. It was on twice a week prior to that.
The problem is once the world decided, well, we don't want Batman anymore, you know, we don't want this, well, once ABC decided we don't want Batman anymore, the world took the opinion, at least the Hollywood world seemed to take the opinion, well, we don't want Adam West in anything. People identify him too much as Batman. Because, of course,
typecasting.
Because, of course, Hollywood automatically thinks that its viewing public is so damn stupid that we can't figure out that someone can actually go on to different roles.
Well, back then, that was normal. Now, today, where you have film stars doing all types of different roles, you have a lot of them coming to television in the form of pay TV and cable and Netflix shows. Kevin Spacey's show, House of Cards, is only on Netflix. You have a whole bunch of different rules. Times have changed in 50 years.
Yeah.
But back then, you only had the 3 major television networks, maybe a couple of independents, and movies. And it was harder for people to get away from what they did. William Shatner had that problem, never having another successful television show after Star Trek until T.J. Hooker 15 years later, despite being in several other programs.
Yeah, that might have had to do more with the writing than Shatner's performance.
Well, it's a little of both, I'm sure. So Barbary Coast, I don't remember being a very good show, but that's okay.
We digress.
Adam was the same kind of character actor who was known for one particular character at that time, like Bill Shatner, like Leonard Nimoy, Leonard got lucky when he did Mission Impossible. And it was, Adam did not have that luck. And it's a shame.
Because Adam was and is a terrific actor. This film looks at the high points and the low points and the high points again of Adam as being someone that has always been... Hollywood might have kind of wanted to shunt him aside. The fans never did. The fans have always loved and supported Adam. And that fandom also includes his own family, who are definitely fans of him. Part of this film includes the attempts by his daughter and son his younger daughter and younger son to get him a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
These were his daughter and son by his third wife,
Yeah.
Marcella.
Which I was like, what do you mean he doesn't have a star on the... What? I was like, I just had assumed like an idiot that he had one, at the time. But this film is really... It looks at a lot of different facets of Adam's life and Adam as a person. It's a family story at the heart of it. It's a story of a man that wanted to do right by his family, wanted to provide for his family. It's a labor of love, and it's a story of a family trying to get their dad recognition, which I thought was really quite beautiful.
I thought it was interesting in the fact when they first started the campaign to get him a star on the Walk of Fame, that both Lassie and Judge Judy already had stars.
Seriously.
And he didn't. And we should point out...
Those two bitches get stars and he doesn't? That's not very fair.
Hey, don't call Lassie a bitch. It was portrayed by a male. Anyway, director James Tooley, who is actually Adam's son-in-law, by the way, just to clarify, has put together a loving tribute to Adam in this film. The campaign was actually run, and I can't find his name on the website, which is just insane, by one of the two guys that runs the morning show on K-Rock Radio in Los Angeles, who is an absolute Adam West fanatic, and also his longtime agent, Westbrook. Is it Jim?
George.
No, it's not George. It's Westbrook is his last name, or Wastbrook. And his youngest daughter and son are mainly behind that. But this movie goes into a lot more. It goes into Adam's early life as a man who was called from Hawaii, where he was doing television, where he had moved and met his wife, his first wife, and into Hollywood for westerns, and he did a number of those. But when the westerns ended in the 1960s, he was out of work for a while and went to a number of different places, and finally, then Batman came along and turned him into a star. Even though the public would not reject him overall, the studios, as you said, did. But there's a lasting legacy. This movie goes to several conventions with Adam, and oh my God, the fandom is just insane. There are people of all ages, shapes, and sizes who have seen Batman. That's him right now outside. Who have done, came to see, they'd seen it originally, or they'd seen it in reruns, or they've seen the movie that Fox released on the video years ago. Mm-hmm. And that's really, really fantastic. Fred Westbrook, by the way, I remember the name. Yeah. The best part of this film, though, is Adam's...
There's a lot of great parts in this film, I think.
Yeah, Adam's candid descriptions of people. I wish we had heard more from some of his co-stars. We did hear a little bit from Burt Ward, who does cons with him all the time. They're still close friends. And Lee Merriweather, who we call Leanne Merriweather. She's never used Anne as part of her stage name, but it is her actual formal name. And I think it's both of them have been angling to get on Dancing with the Stars. Interestingly, Adam is 83 years old. He looks fantastic. He is still active. Constantly.
Yeah.
Looks great. Still has that excellent sense of humor. And now he has an entire new audience and fandom as Mayor Adam West, the mayor of Quahog, Rhode Island, on the Seth MacFarlane animated Smash Family Guy. And I'd never really seen his work on that. I was aware he was there. And you can tell how much he loves doing that show. Mm-hmm. And that he thinks Seth MacFarlane is just a genius. And there's no question about the fact that he is enjoying it and enjoying life. I would love to ask him what he thought of Nicolas Cage's imitation of Bruce Wayne Batman as Big Daddy in Kick-Ass. Because Nicholas had it down to a science. Nicholas always does.
When he was in the Big Daddy costume, we both looked at each other and
we
it
were
was
like, God, he's Adam Westing all over the place.
Seriously.
This is so surreal, and he was freaking hilarious at it, and he was perfect. I'd love to know what Adam thought of that. What did you think of this movie?
I loved it. I have to admit, and I'll admit it right here, because we're all friends, I have had, whichever, a bit of a crush on Adam. I was always attracted to Batman as a character. I thought that, the whole...
Still is.
Okay,
we'll have to wait and see about Ben Affleck. You weren't attracted to George Clooney.
No, I wasn't.
Even though he was a better Batman than Val Kilmer. Bull. Anyway, go on.
Bull. Anyway, I have always had a bit of a crush on Adam. I will admit that. I loved this movie. I thought it was a real. It was a real revelation about him as an actor and a person. When he's talking about the fact that, he did some stuff that he's not really proud of. He did some things that, not terrible things, but just things that he drank too much. He was, chasing skirts and stuff like that. And you can tell he's sad about having done these things because they hurt his family. It's not because they hurt him, it's because they hurt his family. Mm-hmm. And I think that really says a lot about a man. Mm-hmm. I think this film is beautiful and touching, and in some places funny as hell. Yeah. And when you watch what the amount of hoops that have to go through for Adam to get that star.
Because that's actually a paid thing. The stars have to get involved with that.
I never knew that. I just thought that you got to a point in Hollywood where you're just so damn famous that they're finally like, okay, let's give them a star.
Now, they only do like 22 of them a year, and they have to, the stars end up having to do, it's publicists and everything else. It's a big publicity stunt.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
I loved it. What's your score?
I give starring Adam West an A-.
I think it was very, very fun to watch, and Jim obviously knows James obviously knows his father-in-law very well, and got him to open up on camera more than anything. There's one particular part where Adam is completely losing it over something that was, I forgot what it was, but he starts to talk about it, and then he cracks up and tries to get back to it a couple of times, and he can't. It's really funny.
Yeah. One other person we should bring up is Wally Wingert, who shows up a lot in this film. He is a voiceover actor and also completely insane individual, which makes him, of course, awesome.
My big problem with the film is I wish they'd been able to talk a little bit more with some of the other stars, but unfortunately most of them have passed on. Burgess Meredith, Cesar Romero, Frank Gorshin, Alan Napier, Neil Hamilton, they're all gone. And I wish they'd gotten Julia Newmar to talk on camera. She was there at that con with them. Mm-hmm. But it's always good to hear about people who enjoy working with Adam and the genuine love that the fans have for him. I give starring Adam West a B+. Starring Adam West is showing exclusively on the Encore pay television network. If you have Encore on demand, you can watch it 24/7 throughout the next month. Otherwise, if you have Encore on your system, be on the lookout for starring Adam West in the next 30 days.
Subject Cinema. Drive me a summer.
eCinemaOne is your choice for great info and commentary about the world of film and entertainment. Daily trailer postings, the latest news and film reviews, commentary about the state of the industry, the weekly Subject Cinema and 3-Minute Weekend podcast, and so much more you won't believe it. New material is being posted daily, so join us each day and see what you're missing out on. Once you visit, you will always be back for more. eCinemaOne from PNRNetworks, eCinemaOne.com. Want to listen to Subject Cinema on the go? Check out Stitcher. You can access all the latest episodes right from iPhone or Android. Check it out. Click on the Stitcher logo on our sidebar or go to Stitcher.com and search for your favorite PNR Network show. Get started today.
Subject Cinema. Drive me a summer. Dixie Kirkham and Kim Brown.
Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer Salutes are co-presented by Drive-Ins.com, your one-stop source For all information on drive-ins around the U.S. and around the world, you can find it at drive-ins.com. Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer Salutes. The Field of Dreams Drive-In Theaters, there's 2 locations. They are located in Liberty Center and Tifton, Ohio. Tiffin, sorry, I should know that. I lived most of my life in Ohio. They've been in operation for 10 years with 2 screens at each location and run from April to September every year. Between the 2 places, they have 40 staff members. Their slogan, films, food, family, friends, and fun. I think that makes good slogan.
Fabulous.
They have at least 1 indoor theater within 10 miles of each of the drive-ins, so that's not too bad of a ratio. And although they're not currently running a fundraiser of their own, they do know that they regularly run fundraisers for other nonprofit groups in the area, which is always cool.
That's great.
The drive-in, what makes the drive-in special to their customers? Super customer focused. We offer reserved parking for our customers who cannot arrive early. They get to pick their parking spot online for an extra $10 per vehicle. We also make pizzas on site and deliver them to the customer's vehicle for no extra charge. Mm-hmm. That is very, very cool. As they said, for unusual snack fare, we're going to talk about concession food one of these shows. In addition to the on-site pizzas, they said our chili cheese fries are to, quote, die for, close quote. They offer T-shirts at their local location, and they don't offer them online because we want our customers to show up on site and enjoy the drive-in experience. You can sign up for their email newsletter on their website. And one of the questions we ask is, what else do you want your potential patrons and or fans to know? And we have this. The Saunders family loves entertaining our customers. We don't consider our drive-in theaters as work. It's like having a party in our backyard every weekend. Our first drive-in was built in the field behind our home in Liberty Center, Ohio. That location is open on weekends only due to our limited operating permit issued by our township. The Tiffin, Ohio location was purchased when that theater was put up for sale due to the owners retiring. That drive-in also came with a house in front of it, which we refurbished, and now our adult son lives there and manages that theater. He's also a teacher at a local middle school. Life is good.
That is fantastic. They've really made it a family affair.
They certainly have. A lot of drive-ins do that these days, and for Donna Saunders and her family and their employees at the Field of Dreams locations in Tiffin, I did it again, Tiffin and Liberty Center, Ohio. I'd love to visit there if I was still in Ohio.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great thing, and definitely a candidate for one of this week's drive-in salutes. Salute! Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer is co-presented by Going Attractions, the definitive story of the American drive-in, from director April Wright. You can check it out right now on Amazon Prime or order the DVD at goingattractions.com.
It's intermission. Rise and stretch time. Time to refresh yourself and visit our snack bar. Got a yen for hot popcorn? Your favorite soft drinks are sparkling cold. The juicy Frank's sizzling hot. There's delicious coffee, freshly brewed, and all kinds of ice cream and candy to tempt you. Showtime will be announced loud and clear to get you back to your car in time. So stretch your legs. Come to the snack bar now.
Popcorn and candy. Yum, yum. Oh, boy. And an orange, too.
There are 2 minutes remaining before the show starts.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The management of this drive-in theater is happy to announce you can enjoy your favorite form of movie entertainment regardless of rain. No longer will it be necessary to let rain spoil your fun. Now you can keep your windshield clear and dry with a drizzle guard. Simply attach it to your windshield, and in a jiffy you're enjoying the movie without constantly running your windshield wipers. A drizzle guard will save you gasoline and wear and tear on your battery. After the show is over, all you do is take off your drizzle guard, roll it up, and it's ready to be used again, just like an umbrella. So next time it rains, don't sizzle in a drizzle. Get yourself a drizzle guard and enjoy the show. Drizzle guards are on sale now at the concession center.
The show will start in 1 minute.
I love the sound of dripping blood. My name is Dracula. I'm back from the dead. Dracula is alive and well and starring in Dracula AD 1972. For lovers of the occult, Dracula AD 1972. And on the same program for lovers of the macabre, Crescendo from Warner Brothers, rated PG.
The show is about to start. Thank you for your cooperation. Enjoy the show, and please come back and visit us again.
Subject Cinema. Drive this summer.
Is the next step the transplantation of the human brain?
The giant locusts have reached the Chicago South Side and nearby suburbs.
Flag on the moon. How did it get there? That bird is extraterrestrial.
Now that's ridiculous, Eulabelle.
Jerry just tried to kill me twice in the last 5 minutes.
Because all you of Earth are idiots. There are eyewitness accounts which state that monster scorpions have swarmed around the wreckage.
B-movies.
Walk somewhere and molest someone your own age. I've had a long day.
Yeah, well, that's not all that's long.
That's it. I've had enough of your childish sexual advances. Go away, or I'll call the cops.
Childish, huh? Yeah, well, I'm old enough to satisfy you.
Keep your hands off me! Get off of me, I'll scream!
Go ahead. Scream. I like it when my girls scream.
Headed to the big old B movie screen this week. Not a double feature because we don't have them. They didn't have them that much in the 80s. But we're going to go to a 1986 feature that has been Mystery Science Theater 3000 treated back in the original show.
Yep.
It also played theaters and drive-ins everywhere in 1986 because, well, it's just that kind of movie. John Michael Thor, who was supposedly a rock star, in Zombie Nightmare. You want to give us the rundown?
That's not nice. I think he was a pretty well-known star in the heavy metal, if they had the fringe heavy metal crowd, I think. And he really filled out a codpiece nice, too.
All right.
Okay, anyway, Zombie Nightmare. We're on to that now. The plot of Zombie Nightmare is thus. A little boy named Tony watches his dad playing in a baseball game. And while he and his parents are walking home from the game, Tony and his parents come across a young girl who's being attacked by two thuggish teens. Tony's dad, William, goes to defend the young lady and unfortunately winds up being fatally stabbed by one of the punks who run away. Time passes and Tony grows up into a strapping young lad. And
so Wikipedia says teenage baseball player. My ass, teenage. College, maybe, but not teenager.
Well, fine.
Anyway.
Well, he's supposed to be a teenager. If I had teenage boys like that going to school when I was in school, I might have actually gone to school more often. Anyway, Tony's a very good kid raised by his single mom and, trying to be a good person and winds up even foiling a robbery when he's at a local grocery store. Unfortunately, life has the same tragic plans for Tony that it did for his father, because after this act of bravery where he stops the robbery in the grocery store, he leaves the store and is promptly run over by a car full of teenagers, Bob, Amy, Jim, Peter, and Susie, who, it is an accident, but it's reckless driving. They hit him and then they wind up fleeing the scene. Louise, his mother, is distraught, and contacts one of her neighbors, a woman named Molly, who also happens to be a practicer of the ancient and mystic arts of voodoo. And Molly tells Louise she cannot bring Tony back to life, but she can bring him to a point between life and death long enough for him to gain revenge on his killers. And thus begins a story of murder and revenge where Tony is raised up as a zombie and goes out and takes bloody vengeance on the teenagers that caused his untimely demise, while he's being followed by a police officer and the police officer's boss, a police captain with a dark secret. What could it be? You'll have to watch the movie to find out.
With John Michael Thor as Tony, Tia Carrere in one of her early roles as Amy, Manuska Rajoud, I would guess it is, as Molly, the voodoo priestess. Frank Dietz as Frank Sorrell. Sean Levy as Jim Batten. Linda Singer as Maggie. Alan Fizzler as Bob. Hamish McEwen as Peter. Marion E. Turbide as Susie. Walter Massey as Mr. Peters. And
Adam West as Captain Tom Churchman.
There we go.
Yeah.
Of course, on today's show.
Yes, definitely. Zombie Nightmare is...
horrible.
Terrible.
How does it smell? Terrible.
Actually, I've seen worse.
Oh, I've seen worse, too.
And to be perfectly honest, if we're supposed to elicit any sympathy for this zombie running around killing these teenagers, nope. I don't feel the least bit bad. I'm like, you all deserve it. You're terrible people, and you deserve it.
Music was performed by Thor,
yes,
who played the zombie and the pre-version of the zombie, and also included heavy metal riffs by his band and synthesizer music from the band Thorchestra.
Yes.
Which is like, Thorchestra? Really?
One of the worst puns ever, but I do love it. I love it so. The Ace of Spades, the song playing over the opening credits, is obviously the song from the legendary hard rock, heavy metal, incredibly kick-ass band Motorhead. This film was featured on Mystery Science Theater 3000, and it really deserved it. It's not good. I mean, it does have a nice twist at the end. It's a twist you can see coming about 1.5 miles away, but it's still pretty nice. And like I said, if we're supposed to feel bad that all these young people are being snuffed out in the prime of their lives by a rampaging zombie, I don't. What about you?
Not really, no.
No, I don't. I don't feel the least bit sorry. These people are all scumbags. I'm like, fine.
Yeah, the leader of the scumbag teenagers, Jim Batten, he's got this long hair, like the hair's down to his waist, and he's hanging out, and he's the main bad guy. He's got the earrings and the mullet and everything going. This guy would grow up to become Sean Levy, the director, who has done all of the Night of the Museum movies. He's currently one of the executive producers of Stranger Things for Netflix. I'm like, he really did learn how not to do a movie in this film, I would think.
I would think so.
Yeah.
The thing that I do want to bring up something kind of interesting about this film, and I've brought this up before, being a horror aficionado and all-around picky person sometimes, which I will admit to. The whole idea of the zombie as we see the zombie now in films, whether you're looking at the whole shambling zombie or the whole running crack zombie, the whole thing has now been the whole idea that these are dead people that are brought back to life and reanimated, and they eat people and they eat brains and blah, blah, blah.
Brains.
Which is all
nom.
fine, except for the fact that that's not the original way zombies were
Zombies were
portrayed.
originally done as slaves.
Yes, zombies in the first films that were about zombies, films like White Zombie and I Walked with a Zombie and films like that, were about the way zombies have been treated in the voodoo religion. The idea of a corpse that is reanimated and used as slave labor. That is actually where this film goes. The whole idea that Molly resurrects Tony as a tool to go out and find his killers and kill them, but it also turns out there's also another motive in there that follows into that and follows into what happened earlier on in the film. So I would actually argue that I'm not sure that makes him a zombie or not. I would actually possibly say that makes him a revenant, but, whatever. I might be being too picky here, but I do like the fact that this film is taking the whole idea of the zombie as the zombie was originally done in films, the whole undead servant kind of a thing, as opposed to what George Romero did with Night of the Living Dead, which fused together...
Which was ghouls, technically.
Yeah, which fused together the whole idea of a zombie and a ghoul, and now you have an entirely new creature.
A Zool.
Or
a Gombi.
Gombi sounds like a character from a children's program gone horribly.
I'm Gombi, damn it!
As we mentioned, Adam West is in this film playing the police chief.
Real scumbag in this movie, isn't he?
As it turns out, yeah. It's terrible. But like I said, I've seen worse. I've seen much, much worse. And any movie with Motorhead in it, at least, Ace of Spades, which is a kick-ass song, it really can't be,
You can watch one of Theo Taplitz's short films and get Ace of Spades. You don't need to watch crap like this. Watch Tap, Tap, Tap. It's a much more entertaining film and only lasts 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Honestly.
But Zombie Nightmare, one of Adam West's plethora of films, and if you're in the mood for something a little bit different, you might want to check it out.
As the tagline from the movie said, her power goes beyond life, his rage survives even death. Which is about how this movie goes. Yeah. Zombie Nightmare is available for viewing on both non-Misty and Mistied versions, mostly through Amazon Video, but also can probably be found in other video outlets as well. And again, it's a great thing to ask your local theater or drive-in to throw for a party of just goofy night stuff.
Yeah. If your local theater has a midnight movies thing, I definitely recommend this one. The
best movies! Subject Cinema!
Want to know what top titles from film and TV are hitting home video this week? Hi, I'm TC Kirkham of Subject Cinema, inviting you to check out Tuesday Digidex, our weekly roundup of all the new home video releases in the U.S. each week. Whether it's DVD, Blu-ray, or streaming you're looking for, we've got it covered. Tuesday Digidex, every Tuesday morning, from Subject Cinema at eCinemaOne.com, a PNRNetworks podcast powered by Libsyn. Subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast service.
Subject Cinema, drive me a summer.
Back headed for the moon, and Moon 13 on the dark side of the moon, and the new season of Mystery Science Theater 3000 on this week's 13 Report. And this week, as our story begins, we talk about Hercules and what he's doing to make sure...
And who he's doing.
You're ruining my flow, woman!
Sorry.
I'm trying to do my soap opera guy!
You're trying to watch your stories!
Anyway,
sorry.
It's time for The Loves of Hercules.
I'm sorry, I don't have my organ ready. Brought to you by Ivory Soap.
Procter & Gamble presents The Loves of Hercules.
You proctor your own gamble from over there, buddy.
Yeah.
The only movie where the hero wears a shorter skirt than the ladies.
Starring the legendary Jane Mansfield and her then husband Mickey Hargitay.
Yes. Starring Jane Mansfield's legendary hair.
Breasts.
It's Dassey!
Well, I'm saying that's what she was known for.
She was known for being a beautiful lady.
Yes,
and
she was.
Boy,
she left us far too young.
Boy, does it show in this movie.
Wow. Give us the rundown before we get to what's going on the Deep 13 side.
Okay. The story of the Loves of Hercules follows thusly. While Hercules is off doing hero stuff, his village is being plundered and people are being pillaged
pillage.
Such like that. And his wife winds up being killed by the army of the invading people, which winds up putting the blame on a certain king who winds up being killed by his own army people. Treachery.
Who want to blame the death on Hercules.
No, they want to blame the death on the king and the king's wife, because the king's wife has to take blame for him because he's dead.
Right.
Right, yeah. So anyway, Hercules goes...
gotcha, okay.
Yeah, so Hercules winds up going to the kingdom of the late king. The queen is in charge now since her husband got offed. Queen Deandria, who's all like, hey, I didn't order your wife to get killed, and Hercules is all like, prove it, and she's all like, well, I'll prove it, and she stands there tied up to this piece of wood, and Hercules chucks axes at her, and manages not to hit her, which is proof from the gods that she is innocent. Yay? So apparently the mourning period in ancient Greece is 2 weeks, because Hercules has already got feelings stirring under his very short loincloth for the queen, and he admires her for her bravery, and the fact that she's smoking hot probably doesn't hurt either. While he is bringing her back to her home, they find a bunch of peasants, and they say they've been attacked by a monster. And as Hercules is searching for the monster, the cattle are stampeded by the monster, and the queen is threatened by a wild bull, which looks more like a stationary cow to me, and Hercules shows his incredible strength and fortitude by breaking the poor animal's neck. Boo, hiss. Eat more chicken. The problem is Hercules has by now fallen in love with... Hey, they did that joke too, so I should be able to get away with it.
I know.
The problem is that once they get to the city that Hercules was escorting the queen to, somewhere between there and from the journey to the city, Hercules is pretty much like, dead wife? What dead wife? And he's fallen in love with the queen. The problem is, the queen is now betrothed to somebody else. Like I said, very short mourning periods in ancient Greece.
Yep.
And
some guy named Achu.
Achilu.
Oh, it's not Achu?
No, it's the wrong movie.
Right, well, okay, fine.
The bad guy who orchestrated all the mess at the beginning of the movie, Lycos, orders Achilu to be murdered and have the blame pinned on Hercules. Hercules winds up in the underworld trying to find what exactly happened, and has to face off in a ferocious battle with the monstrous Hydra. You know, I might have been able... It might have
been a high, but not a hydra.
Yeah, we call it a high because it only has 3 heads.
Hydras have 8.
9.
9.
And considering the fact that...
9, not hydra.
Wrong country.
Oh, sorry.
And considering the fact that this hydra, which Hercules engages in the titanic battle with, never actually gets off its lazy ass to, fight him, other than to move 2 of its 3 heads. Good grief. Anyway, Hercules winds up unconscious and winds up a guest/captive of the warrior women, the Amazons, and Queen Hippolyta has got a case of the hots for Hercules and uses magic and sorcery to look like Queen Deandria to try and get Hercules to stay with her. But the thing is, Queen Hippolyta, once she tires of her lovers, turns men into trees. Yeah. Because you can't just kill the guy. You got to turn him into a... What?
Yeah, because that way he's eternally living and watching you do the nasty with other people. Supposed to drive them crazy.
I guess. I mean, trees don't have eyes, but whatever.
No, they don't need eyes. It's like the end of the 5 Doctors, but that's still 2 more rip tracks away. So anyway.
Okay. Anyway, this movie hurt. The cast includes, as TC will now tell us.
I will?
Yes, please.
Mickey Hargitay as Hercules. Jane Mansfield as Queen Denaria, I think it is. Denaria, and Hippolyta in disguise. With, I don't know, it doesn't say who really played Hippolyta. Maximo Serrato as Lycos. Renee Derry as the General. Moira Orfe as Nemi, and Gil Vidal as Achilles, plus a bunch of other people that have no credits here.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay.
Actually, the woman that played Queen Hippolyta in the other scenes is an actress named Tina Gloriana.
Ah, thank you. Oh, yes, it is. Wow.
Okay.
Ow.
Yeah. Wow. Oh,
Ow.
boy.
Let's leave the W off that. Just ow.
Ow. Yeah, very much ow.
Ow.
Ow, hurty pain. The segments we got with this slice of agony included Jonah and the Bots watching Wings, the Invention Exchange, including the Turkey Dunk Tank for those of us who enjoy holiday greetings and third-degree burns, and the Mexican beanbag chair, which doesn't go very well for the things that make the Mexican beans jump.
Which is, by the way, a recycled joke.
Yeah, it is a recycled joke, but it's still funny in a gross, disgusting way if you actually dwell on it.
There's a bunch of dead worms in the chair. Ew!
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The Bots and Jonah recreating the axe-throwing scene from the movie. Jonah working on his spacesuit while Crow and Tom talk about the idea of hunting monsters. And Jonah and the Bots dressed in drag as Grecian women, and that was a sight I really didn't need to see ever. And the last segment is everybody singing or screeching or whatever, copying the film where you've got this chorus singing to glorious heights of dog eardrum piercing levels at the end of the film. Oh boy.
The movie's terrible.
The movie is so
It's
bad.
a typical Italian sword and sorcery film from the mid-'60s and early 60s. And, I mean, they do the best. Jane and Mickey do the best they can with the material. It's really not really a great... I mean, you can tell it's made on a limited budget.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, the High was proof of that.
Yeah.
Which actually called Hercules versus the Hydra in the U.S. on the TV circuit. I still think they should just call it Hercules versus the High.
Considering the fact that the scene with Hercules battling the Hydra doesn't occur until pretty much...
Two-thirds of the way through the movie.
Two-thirds of the way of the film and takes a grand total of 4 minutes?
Not very long, no.
About 4 minutes, top to bottom. And is one of the most terrible monster fights I have ever seen, and I am a kaiju fan, so I know what I'm talking about.
It's Reptilicus with Hydras.
Oh, I'm sorry. This thing would make Reptilicus point and laugh with his
Although
little
Reptilicus
teeth.
couldn't close his mouth, at least the Hydra could.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. This thing would make Reptilicus point and laugh with his little tiny T-Rex arms. I'm sorry, no. And like I said, the bad thing is this is an Italian film. And
why is that a bad thing?
The bad thing is this is an Italian film. Italy means, Rome, Roman mythology. You people knew this stuff.
Right.
And yet you make a film that sucks this badly. I mean...
Maybe it's better in Italian. I don't know.
No.
Okay.
No.
Just try.
For one thing, what the hell is the deal with the Amazons? What the hell is up with that crap?
The Amazons showed up in a bunch of Italian sword and sorcery movies, even though they had nothing to do... Sword and sandal movies, I mean, they had nothing to do with that period of time.
Well, no, they did. I mean,
Not in the way that they're using
No,
them.
I mean, one of Hercules' labors was to get the girdle from Queen Hippolyta. But the whole thing was that the Amazons live on this faraway island or faraway place that people don't get to all the time. And why in the hell, in this film, why in the hell are all the Amazons dressed like Vegas showgirls? They all wear the same outfit and they all look like they're in some third-rate kick line. I'm sorry. What the actual hell? It's ridiculous. It's stupid. It's painful.
It has a cult following, according to this. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't figure out why.
So does Howard the Duck. So,
Oh, that's mean. Don't compare Jane Mansfield to Howard the Duck.
Well, I'm not. I would never do that. Jane Mansfield is a beautiful lady.
Yeah. And a good actress.
And to be honest, yes, she actually really tries with the material. And, I mean, I'd go on a quest to rescue her. She's really beautiful. But, wow, this movie sucked. I mean, really, really badly sucked.
We'll take another visit back to Moon 13 on next week's Subject Cinema as we continue the 13 report for Season 11 of Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Stay tuned for the pain.
Subject Cinema. Drive me a summer.
Now you can bring all your favorite PNR Network shows to your television. Check out PNR Networks on Roku. It's all of what PNR Networks has to offer, all in one place. The entire PNR Networks podcast family. Subject Cinema, Subject Cinema Reviews, Platinum Rose's Garden, Mirrorball Mayhem, 3-Minute Weekend, Cavebabble, and Mashed Up Madness. Plus the latest videos from PNR Networks and Larry 411. All right at your fingertips. And even more is on the horizon. It's literally thousands of hours, a decade worth of great audio and video, all under one roof. And best of all, it's all free. The PNR Network's Roku channel. Simply go to the On Roku area of any of our websites or click on the Roku button on the sidebar to subscribe. And don't forget to tell all your Roku-owning friends we're here as well.
eCinemaBoston is your best choice for all the latest news and info about happenings in the world of film here in the hub of the universe. Local theater listings, ticketing info, reviews of local venues, spotlight on Boston actors, the latest film shoots, and a whole lot more. If you're in the Metro Boston area, you need eCinemaBoston from PNR Networks. Once you visit, you will always be back for more. eCinemaBoston.com.
Subject Cinema. Drive this summer. T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown.
Deja vu. What is it, and why does it occur?
Just had that little feeling. You ever get that funny little, that kind of feeling, that vuja day? You know, not deja vu. This is vuja day. This is the strange feeling that somehow none of this has ever happened before.
Deja Vu Review.
Welcome to Gotham Palace.
On tonight's show, Hector and the Ho-Daddies.
Holy, unholy alliance. Our greatest foes have reunited. Let's go. To the Batmobile. Let's go.
Felt like a return to old home, didn't it?
Yep.
Characters that have been played off and on by a number of different people. This time, the people best known for playing the roles were stepping back into it for an all-new animated feature that hit theater screens this past Monday and DVD and on-demand this past Tuesday. Adam West, Burt Ward, and Julie Newmar, Batman Return of the Caped Crusaders. Give us the rundown.
Batman Return of the Caped Crusaders is basically a big screen version of the 1960s camp classic show Batman.
It's based on the Batman 66 comic.
Yes.
Also.
With the four of Gotham City's most heinous criminals, the Joker, the Penguin, the Riddler, and Catwoman, teaming up to try and destroy our heroes, Batman and Robin. Which leads to the usual kind of hijinks that those of us who remember the 60s series fondly will remember. Overdone death traps, Catwoman trying to get into Batman's cowl, among other things. And your typical, 60s camp classic goodness kind of stuff. You really can't say much about the plot because it'll give away too much about the actual story. It was really some retro stuff. You're dealing with the old style Batman. This isn't the grim stuff of later years and No,
this is the silly idiot version of Batman.
That's not nice, and that's not what I meant, and it's not what I meant. It's campy, it's goofy, it's got, people getting punched and biff and ow and spaceships and all kinds of mod music, and it's just, wow.
Featuring the voices of Adam West as Bruce Wayne and Batman, Burt Ward as Dick Grayson and Robin, Julie Newmar as Catwoman, Jeff Bergman as the Joker, as well as the narrator, what there was of it, William Salyers as the Penguin, Wally Wingert as the Riddler, Jim Ward as Commissioner James Gordon, Stephen Weber as Alfred Pennyworth, Thomas Lennon as Chief O'Hara, Len Marie Stewart as and Harriet Cooper, and Serena Irwin as Miranda Moore. What'd you think?
When I heard that this was going to go down, I was kind of like, I don't know if people really want this kind of stuff anymore. And then we went to the movie theater to see this as a Fathom event, and it was pretty jammed. And everybody
almost sold out, yeah.
Yeah. And everybody was enjoying the hell out of themselves, including me.
Us.
I remember I remember the Batman series, the campy Batman series, very fondly from when I was a young girl. It was in repeats and on syndication by then. And it was, this and Super Friends and that kind of stuff. That was my first introduction to Batman as a character. And, it obviously intrigued me, and I liked it because I kept reading more about the character, and the universe and all that. So, I have, like I said, I have a warm spot in my heart for this kind of a thing. And this was just like that. It was so retro. It was, just campy fun, great voice work. The plot is a little too contrived for my taste. I felt the plot just was a little bit too much like, this would have to work for that to work, and this would have to work for that to work, and that kind of a deal.
But that's the way it was in the
I
60s
realized
series.
that. I realized that. And that irritated me back then, and it kind of still bothers me now. The voice work was great. I have to say that everybody was really fantastic. I want to especially bring up Wally Wingert as the Riddler. I thought he was almost channeling Frank Gorshin's delivery and voice work. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. This was fun. This was a great way to spend an evening back in a time that was much more simpler and campy. Yeah, it was campy, but nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with a little camp every once in a while. Not everything has to be dark and serious and driven. Sometimes you want hamburger, sometimes you want steak. It's just the way it is. It's still cow. So that's just my opinion of it. What about you?
This was fun. This was so much fun. Bert and Julie did a great job. Adam West is 88 years old now. Mm-hmm. And his voice shows it in places in this in this movie.
You think so?
He has this very shaky way of doing the character at times, and it's mostly evident in the early part of the film. I don't know whether it just kind of got used to that rhythm with the character as the movie went along, but the whole thing about the crosswalk, which is so right out of the TV series.
It is.
It's like, okay. But it was a very weird when Bert was having no trouble doing a teenager, and Bert's in his 60s, maybe even pushing 70 at this point. And I'm like, okay. Julie Newmar, I would have never guessed, is in her 70s. She was fantastic. And everybody good. I want to call out...
Actually, Julie Newmar is 83.
Oh, she's in her 80s too. She doesn't sound it either. I want to call out William Salyers, who I thought was channeling Burgess Meredith's Penguin to a real perfect degree. He had the Burgess Meredith sound, the whole wah, wah, wah. Everything was perfect for that. I didn't really notice it with the guy doing the Riddler. It was good, but it was just a standard Riddler to me. Wasn't terribly overly fond of Jeff Bergman's work as the Joker. I just didn't think he went out of his way to do a little bit more cackling. It would have helped. Because Cesar Romero was this very happy Joker bad guy. Mm-hmm. The one thing really missing from this is there was no William Dozier narrator character. William Dozier's narration on the television series made that show. We didn't get any of that on this.
No, we didn't.
And unfortunately, I don't know why Jeff Bergman is credited as the narrator when there was no narrator, or maybe there was and they took it off before they did it. But, you know, Gotham City, home of blah, 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 blah. You know, that was one of the best parts about the TV series. And William Dozier did that himself, the executive producer of the show. And I missed that. Maybe when they do the sequel, we'll get it back. I don't know, because there is a sequel coming. Apparently, William Shatner is signed on to voice Two-Face.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. But seeing this on the big screen, when I'm used to seeing Adam and Bert's Batman cartoons be the bad Hanna-Barbera stuff from the New Adventures of Batman in the 1970s. Oh, Filmation. Oh, that's right. It was. And it was Filmation. Sorry. And the stuff that he voiced Batman for the last season of Super Friends, which was called Galactic Guardians. But other than that, I'm like, wow. It was fun. It was well written. It was very, very reminiscent of the 60s television show and the Batman 66 comic universe. And I can't wait for the sequel. What's your score?
I gave it a B+.
Wow, I gave it an A-. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I apparently enjoyed it more than you did, which is surprising. Batman Return of the Caped Crusaders was in theaters for one night only, but is already out on DVD, Blu-ray, and on-demand streaming. If you have a chance to catch it, you won't be disappointed as long as you were a fan of the Batman television series from the 60s.
The Last Reel.
I am pretty sure we could probably say that Adam probably made appearances at drive-ins. He was doing a whole bunch of those indoor and outdoor. He was having one company hired him to get launched out of a cannon at one point, and he took that around to several places. And I'm like, that's really scary. Adam West, who passed away Friday. Kim thinks I said Saturday earlier in the show. Not sure. It was Friday evening. At the age of 88, was just a terrific person. And if you can watch the documentary that we ran the Deja Vu review up for, because it's really a charming film.
It really
shows
is.
a lot on the inside of him. What do you think? What was your memories of Adam West?
Well, as we mentioned earlier, and we were being flip about it with, you never forget your first. I really do think Adam West was my first Batman. I remember watching the reruns of Batman, even that sticks out in my mind even before seeing Batman on the Super Friends and stuff like that. I just remember that this, I learned about the person that was behind the mask and the actor and stuff like that as I got older. And at first I felt a little sad when I read about, it was so hard for him to find work afterwards and the whole typecasting thing, which is just really sad and stupid. But he found a way out of that and found a way to live and be comfortable and love the character that he created. His version of Batman brought joy to so many people. And, he went to a lot of car shows and, posed with people with the Batmobile and stuff like that. And he talked about, all the smiles and the joy and the little kids that would come to see him that, their parents or their grandparents watched Batman and brought their grandchildren to meet him. And to them, he is Batman.
Right.
And the idea that there's still that innocence and there's still that sense of wonder, I love that. And I think that's really beautiful. And that he brought that to so many people. And that's really a legacy that nothing can ever take away from him. And I think that he was really blessed with that. I mean, he was blessed with family that loved him a great deal, obviously, from the documentary, because they were trying to get him his name put on a star on Hollywood Boulevard, which he, I think, deserved a long time ago.
Right.
You want my honest opinion. I think he was a very special person, not only to his family and friends, but to people who never got to shake his hand and say how much he meant to them. And I think that would include me, you and me.
I think so too. he finally started to break the typecasting in the 80s when he did a pilot for a television show called Look Well, which didn't sell, but is very widely available now thanks to it being included in Trio TV's, what was the name of that?
Brilliant But Canceled.
Brilliant But Canceled, even though it never made it to the series. And then he later followed that up with The Last Precinct, which was a TV rip-off of the Police Academy movies, and did well with that too, although neither one, that didn't last very long. But in the 90s and beyond, his voiceover work went crazy, and he made countless appearances as Mayor Adam West, a completely different person, on the TV series Family Guy, and has been doing that for years and years. He worked with so many people.
Yeah.
And Seth Green had a lot of nice things to say about him yesterday. So,
I'd like to bring up something that a lot of people who research the character of Batman have always said, like, oh, well, he only did the campy version and stuff like that. And I would actually disagree with that. And in one specific incident where he was very serious in the role of Batman, it was animated, but it was still really amazing. He took on the voice role of Batman for the last 2 incarnations of the Super Friends. Super Friends, the legendary Superpowers show in 1984, and the Superpowers team, the Galactic Guardians, in 1985. On that incarnation of the show, they did one episode called The Fear, where Batman is affected by one of the Scarecrow's fear-inducing devices and has to relive the night that his parents were taken from him in Crime Alley. And it's not done, in a graphic way or anything like that, but it's very powerful, and you can feel the deep wellspring of emotion in his voice, and it's really, really well done work. I also want to bring up an episode from Batman the Animated Series, one of my favorite shows of all time, where he was a voice actor in an episode called The Gray Ghost, where he played an out-of-work actor who was typecast as this superhero and couldn't get work after that for a long time because of the typecasting. And to hear him work with Kevin Conroy on the show was a real treat. And there's nothing really I can say about Adam that hasn't been said by family and friends and fans and co-workers and stuff like that. He was an amazing person, and he will definitely be missed.
He will indeed. And that's the last reel.
Subject Cinema. Drive me a summer.
I hope everybody thinks we've captured the spirit of what we were going for. It definitely has a drive-in feel to it, and Adam's movies are accessible at drive-ins, I'm sure, everywhere in their heyday.
Yep.
And we were both huge fans, and taking this chance to say goodbye to him it means a lot to us, because we grew up with him, and it's really a great special thing. Before we go, let's talk about everything else we do. Subject Cinema's Front Row 5 and 10 has been off the air for 2 weeks because we've just been going nuts with stuff around here.
Yeah.
It will return Thursday. We are counting up Dangerous Creatures.
Yes. Dangerous Fantasy Creatures.
Right.
So
and it'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
And then we have 3 Minute Weekend and Tuesday Digidex over at 3minuteweekend.com and also at our 3 Minute Weekend site. All the latest movies on Friday, DVDs on Tuesday, coming to your local area. And my new show, Catastrophe Vortex, will be back shortly with more and more disaster films all the time. And that's at catastrophevortex.com. Kim's show, Platinum Rose's Garden, is off the air for now. There'll be some specials later this summer, and we'll bring them to you when those are ready. But you can check out all the older shows.
Yeah, please do. My show, Platinum Rose's Garden, is my supernatural podcast, where I look back on... My latest show is looking back on season 12 of Supernatural, with my views of the show, of the season, and hopefully with a little looking forward towards season 13, which will be coming out in October. Yay! So hopefully you will come check out my show over at PlatinumRosesGarden.com.
Cavebabble with Eric and Valerie Lyon is at Cavebabble.com. Great stuff, movies, games, TV, and everything else all from their Missouri perspective. Lots of fun to listen to. And coming soon, Comic Grotto with Aunt B and Pee Wee, all comics all the time, and we think that you will enjoy that as well. Mm-hmm. Don't forget to check out our print show stuff at eCinemaOne and eCinemaBoston. This week we'll be launching a new column about stuff you can find online, and also our drive-in salutes will continue this week with the printed editions of the ones that you've been hearing on the show the last couple of weeks. If you know of a drive-in or are a drive-in would like to participate, we'd very much like to have you and feature you on this summer's Subject Cinema Drive-In Summer Salutes. Mm-hmm. Please drop us a line, subjectcinema@PNRNetworks.com. We'll get you all the information and get you on the show.
Definitely will.
Don't forget to check out our Subject Cinema app, now available for Android. I am working on it for Amazon and for iTunes, Apple Podcasts. It's no longer iTunes for podcasting. And you can...
Yay, technical stuff that I don't understand. Hooray!
We urge you to download our app. It's got all 4 of our shows associated with movies: Subject Cinema, Front Row 5 and 10, 3-Minute Weekend, and Tuesday Digidex. All available with one touch right from your phone. You can download it at the link on our website. And don't forget to check out our Patreon campaign. We could really use your help, and we're asking everybody, every single person, everybody out there, take the time to donate a couple of bucks to us, because we appreciate, number one, the commitment you're making to Subject Cinema, and number two, we're really in desperate need of some help to get everything where we need to be right now. We are seriously having some problems and definitely need your help to step in and support it, and we appreciate anything you could do for us at patreon.com/PNRNetworks. Anything else?
No, I think that's about does it.
All right, let's get on out of here then. Hey, Mac, watch where you're going. Pull out the other way. For Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
May your popcorn always be buttered.
And may your roses always be in bloom.
Honk, honk, honk. Get out of the way.
And keep that bat signal lit.
You have been listening to Subject Cinema with hosts T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema is produced by PNRNetworks, Boston, Massachusetts, which is solely responsible for its content. Subject Cinema is recorded and produced using Sony Vegas products. Subject Cinema is copyright 2017 by PNRNetworks under a Creative Commons license. Check out a new episode of Subject Cinema every weekend. Until next time, this is Bob Taylor for Subject Cinema, and we'll see you at the movies.
That's all.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.